Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this particular audio presentation, I will discuss the important themes that we find in this story, The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. So as you can see, a heading has been given, important themes related to the Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. The first important theme is the conflict between feelings and reason. There is a underlying conflict between feelings and reason. So let me start with that. Throughout the entire story, Aram and Morad were caught between what they feel and what they know. When Aram first sees Morad riding the white horse, he knew that Morad must have stolen it because it was not possible for any member of the Garaglunian tribe to purchase a horse for a luxury. It is not possible because they struggle a lot, and in order to survive, in order to make both ends meet, they struggle a lot. So to purchase a horse is next to impossible for them. Yet he feels that this cannot be the case, for his family is always honest. As Aram greatly desires to ride the horse, he begins to make justifications for why they are not stealing, knowing that he cannot go against his family's honest reputation. He knows it that he cannot go against his family's honest reputation. Aram and Morad continue to make decisions based on feelings rather than reason. They gave more priority to their feelings rather to their reason. Such as when Morad decides that keeping the horse for 6 months isn't stealing, whereas keeping it a year would be. And that was the reason he decided to give it as early as possible. When the boys met John Byro at the end of the story, John Byro refuses to accuse them because of their rich family tradition. And John Byro was well aware of the family's formidable ancient tradition, and what was that? Honesty and truthfulness. So he believed with his eyes instead of his heart. He chooses faith over reason and tells the boys to go. The fact that Morad tells Byro that the horse's name is My Heart, and dear students, this particular name that accidentally was told by Morad to John Byro, it is symbolic. Why? Because see, the boys justify their keeping and riding the horse with their hearts and not with reason. In the end, Byro's comments to the boys prevent their desires from clouding their reasoning any longer. And they returned the horse the very next day, and they decided to return the horse the very next day because it pricked their conscience. And Morad and Aram, they were also not eager to tarnish the ancient age old family reputation of being truthfulness and honest. Now I am moving on to the next important point, the importance of character and reputation. This is also very important, dear students. Character and reputation, there is a clash between these two also in this story. The Garaglonians, as you know, they pride themselves to be truthful and honest, that they live in extreme poverty, but they don't have any desire to steal anything from anyone because stealing, according to them, is the greatest curse. Aram and Morad, the two most important characters, remain loyal to this reputation, but they temporarily remain loyal to this reputation because Morad, accompanied by Aram, went on riding a stolen horse that was actually stolen by Morad from John Byro's farm. When their guilt from John Byro's comments about their family's honest reputation causes them to rethink their justifications, and finally they thought that what they did was not the right thing. It pricked their conscience, as I told you previously also. So they decided to immediately return the horse so that they may not be labeled as thieves, or so that it may not harm their family's rich legacy. So they decided to give the horse back to John Byro. Now in the end, the Garaglenian family's honesty saves Aram and Morad. Byro observes that the horse they are riding looks exactly like his own, but he chooses to believe that it is not his horse based on the honest reputation of their family. And that was the reason Byro thought that this might be the twin of his stolen horse. Though Byro had a doubt in his mind, but he never argued at that moment with them. Aram and Morad's honesty in returning the horse is rewarded. If Bairo knew that they stole it or they had stolen it, he doesn't say so. Instead, he remarked that now his horse is better tempered and much more fitter and much more healthier than ever. In a way, Bairo's own gentleness of character pays off. He is slow to accuse the boys and trust their integrity, and his horse is returned the very next day. And that was the reason, because Bairo trusted them and they don't want to break the trust of Bairo. And it pricked their conscience also. They thought that they are destroying their family's legacy of being honest and truthful. So they decided to return the horse the very next day. Now I am moving on to the moral of the story, the summer of the beautiful white horse, written by William Saroyan. So dear students, as you can see, I have given the heading, the moral of William Saroyan's The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse. So let me continue with this. The moral of William Saroyan's The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse is that compassion in the face of conflict yields both room for growth and fair compromise. And it is one of the most important moral lesson we get. It is actually related with the moral significance that we find from this story. John Bairo, as you know, the Assyrian farmer, he knows that Morad and Aram had stolen his missing white horse, a fact which is later confirmed when he comes across the two boys as they were stabling the creature after their morning rite. Rather than acting out of revenge or vengeance and seeking punishment for the thieves, Bairo asserts, and here I quote, "A suspicious man would believe his eyes instead of his heart." Though Bairo at the back of his mind realized that this is his horse, but he confessed to the boys that he had a blind faith and trust in their family's reputation of being truthfulness and honest. So ultimately Morad and Aram didn't want to break their family trust, and they wanted to uphold their family's legacy, and they don't want to break the trust that John Bairo had in respect to their family's reputation. So they decided that the following morning, they decided to give it back. In other words, there is something important about believing in the goodness of the human spirit and seeing the best in others. Bairo seems to implicitly understand that the boys must have a good reason, even a spiritual reason, for taking his property away from him. Surely one would not steal unless out of genuine need. That is the main concept. That means a person who steals, a person steals because there is a genuine need for a certain thing. Now here the genuine need for the two boys was the love or the pleasure of riding a horse. That was the genuine need. This gentle approach to catching the boys in the act results in his horse being returned the very next day. Maybe it can be said in other words that he actually catch the boys in their act. So boys were caught in their act, and finally the very next morning the horse was returned back to him. Much to his delight, he discovered that his horse has been trained quite well and has grown stronger and even better tempered in the time that it was missing. That means when the horse was returned back, John Bairo found that it is now better tempered and it has grown more stronger than ever, and it is much more fitter also than ever. Due to his generous, dear students, it means kind-hearted, considerate in nature. We call it generous. Due to his generous and forgiving spirit, Bairo has actually gained something positive out of being the victim of crime. It is truly a win-win approach to life, because see, ultimately Bairo gained something positive. He made Aram and Morad rethink about their family's tradition and legacy of being truthfulness and honest. And finally, it can be said, despite Bairo knew it or not, ultimately he got his horse back, and it was much better tempered, much more stronger, much more flexible also in respect to what it was previously. Even we can say the horse is now better tempered also. So ultimately there is something positive came out, and the most important thing is that it was actually a win-win approach to life, And ultimately, John Byro, instead of being a loser, he became a winner because he got his horse in better shape and in better temper. That is the main thing. So, dear students, that ends the moral of the story. Listen to it. Listen to this audio presentation properly, and if there is any doubt anywhere, do ask me. I will clarify it to the best of my ability. I do feel like this is a very interesting story and a very important one, so you will all listen to this audio presentation. Thank you, students. Thank you all.